Hello, I hope you're having a fantastic day. My name is Sea Glass Illustration and today we're going to be painting one of these bad boys, a fox. I love foxes. I hope you can come and join me as I paint one in watercolour. Let's go. So first off, when it was coming up with some ideas for this painting, I specifically wanted to paint and draw a fox. One, because I love foxes. They're lovely animals. They're so expressive. I actually grew up with foxes nearby, and oh my god, they would make so much noise, but I always loved seeing them, especially when they had their babies. So here I am. I've done a load of studies and sketches. Oh, there's some other gestures, drawings of something else. Here we go. So there's a few notes. So I actually really like that one, but that was a study of an existing artwork, so I don't want to be derivative. But I really love these gestures. So this isn't the only fox painting that I'm planning, so maybe one of these we'll actually see. I'm hoping to do a small collection of wildlife paintings, basically to sell at some upcoming shows. Here is the sketch that was transferred from this sketch. You can see this is the final thing. I went with a very circular composition. This was inspired by an absolutely beautiful fox photograph that I found on Pinterest, but I changed him around a little bit, made him a little bit more circular and I was really trying to incorporate the golden spiral in here with this as his general focal point. I then transferred it onto this paper here, which I want more of. I have been putting off using this because I'm frightened that I'm going to fall in love with it. And this is paper that I can't get very easily. I actually got this on my recent holiday in Amsterdam. It's 100% cotton, and I think it's 100% cotton, I'm not sure. But oh my god, it's so nice. It is so lovely. I did actually do some colour studies on another piece. I am fully planning on using the other side on an actual art piece, but it's so thick, look, you can't even see anything, and I laid some of this on pretty watery, and as you can see, the colours, the watercolours, even my Cotmans are really, really vivid on this paper. It is just absolutely stunning. A few overlay tests, and the first application and the second application test, and here's your general colour scheme with some nice cadmium red pales. We've got some yellow ochres with a little bit of dioxazine purple to use as the other side to kind of bring down the colours. I'm also using this particular Prussian blue because it is just a lovely, lovely colour to use. And of course, because it's me, a little bit of Payne's grey with a little bit of that Prussian blue actually mixed in. I love Payne's grey as a colour. It is just so lovely, especially because it has that warm toned blue in there. Overall, yes, this is going to be a warm colour scheme because I kind of want the vibe to be, how cosy can I make this, you know? It's lovely when you see an animal just all curled up and all comfy, cosy, 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 and I want this painting to kind of make you feel like that you want to go all cosy, cosy, cosy. And I love in general circular compositions. So I'm actually ready to start painting. If you want to follow along, that would be lovely. But we're going to go into the time-lapse mode in just a second. So hope you enjoy, and I'll see you when I'm done. So let's switch over to voiceover, Emma. I'm first laying down a wash of yellow ochre mixed with a cool lemon yellow. I find the lemon yellow neutralises the brown of the ochre, but keeps the overall warmth. The rest of the colour palette will have a darker value, so even though the yellow at this stage on his nose and his tummy look a little bright and saturated at this stage, as the painting progresses, it'll all balance out. So now I'm laying down a burnt sienna and pale cadmium mix to achieve that foxy russet colour. I'm quite the mind changer when I go in and do painting. I often paint on the fly, so I'll often make marks and then change my mind, which, thinking about it, is probably not the best practice. It has worked against me, but it's also worked in my favour, because sometimes when you're working, you think or you see new challenges and you see new ways of tackling those challenges that you might not have thought of in advance. So I see it as my lowest skill and both my strongest strength, if that makes sense. He can see me removing a little bit of the paint. This is for several reasons. One, I felt that there was too much colour in this area of the picture. Also, with this paper, there's a bit of a unique issue that I'm actually having here. So the paper is actually slightly fraying under my paintbrush. And there's these little tiny paper bogies that I really don't want in the final image. Because they're just unsightly. It's not nice to look at. So I'm lifting up some of the paint, some of the water, and essentially troubleshooting. See what I mean about the value difference? I allow it to dry and lay down another layer of russet, this time suggesting form and a light source. I'm using the light source and values to allow the viewer's eye to be drawn to his little foxy nose and travel around his body, ending at his tail, which will have a lot less contrast. So now I'm going to try and explain to you what contrast is. So the most simply put, contrast is essentially the differences between light and dark. The bigger the difference between light and dark, the higher the contrast. The lower the difference, the lower the contrast. You can use contrast to your advantage by increasing focus on the areas that have higher contrast and take away your viewer's focus from the places of lower contrast. That's why when you're creating depth in your images, say with mountains and distance, you won't put a load of details in there, you'll keep the values low and relatively close together. Whereas in the foreground, where you want your viewer to concentrate on, you'll have a higher amount of contrast and a more extreme range of values. So this is where I go in and start to really bring out some of those values, some of the forms of our fox. I'm still leaving his tail relatively untouched because at the moment I want his body and especially his little fox socks to be the most focus at this point. painting or in artwork in general, if you are ever struggling to find something to paint, think to yourself, how do I want my viewer to feel when this painting is up on the wall? What story do I want to tell? Maybe it's the illustrator in me, my ongoing obsession with stories. Use a system to tell a story and take your viewer on a journey. In this painting, I want the story to be, oh, what a cute little nose, and his happy, contented smile. Look at it, it's pointing to his ear. Look how his head is twisting around and his little fox socks pointing to that rubbable fox belly. These next fox socks point to his tail that is fluffy and takes up a lot of space, almost fades into the background, however, but that also grounds the composition into a definite shape. I too feel as warm and cosy as this happy fox does. Now I'm really starting to focus on the form and the details. I'm really keeping in mind accurate fox anatomy, the bone structure, the muscle groups under all that fluff, soft blended areas meeting on hard edges, with small dashes to suggest tufts of fur. Fox socks time! Time to paint all of that lovely dark area, and I would be lying if I didn't say that I wasn't panicking a little bit at this point, because it is a nerve-wracking part of the process, a necessary part of the process, but it takes confidence to get this far into a piece, and you know that there's no undo button. If something goes wrong at this point, I don't even want to think. Watercolour painting to me is magical. How can you go from essentially just blobs on a page to slowly layering those blobs and blending to a final subject that just looks solid and alive? It will never fail to amaze me. That's probably why I love watercolour painting so much. More dashes because we were clearly in desperate need of more. Another part of my personal style is that I love making little dashes. There are a lot of reasons for this. There's a lot of artists that I've taken inspiration from over the years, and one of the biggest, I'd say, running themes that these artists have is that they also make these little dashes. It's a very impressionist in origin, maybe a little bit of comic inspiration as well. I love it, I really do. I think you can use these little dashes to really emphasize 3D space and form, and it suggests fur here and muscle. It's just something that I just love to do. Here I am, starting proper work on the tail now, as I would say. I am trying to be quite conservative with my paint application, so I'm trying my best to be very, very careful. I'm trying not to put too much contrast into this part of the image, because I don't want people to focus on this part. I want it to essentially be a supportive role. So I'm just trying to be careful
but also suggest fullness and volume and just the overall cuddliness of this part of the fox. If you like this time lapse, why don't you toss me a like? And if you're feeling really generous, you can comment below. Or even, if you feel really generous, you can give me a follow. I'm still pretty darn new at this. But so by interacting with this video, by liking, commenting, even copying the link, you'll be helping this brand new art channel grow and get noticed. You know what? That is really cool. And I think we're done.
And we are done. Check that out. So I'm so proud of this. What I love, I'm honestly really impressed. I don't do as much watercolour painting as I would ideally want, because I just don't have the time. A lot of my commercial work is done digitally, and that takes up the majority of my time. So when I do get the chance to sit down with some physical paint and paper, I'm all over it. Would I use this paper again? Yes, because I bought it. And I'm a money-saving queen. But I wouldn't go out of my way to buy it again. But I'm happy to experiment with all different types of papers. I can't wait to try a new type of paper. Mainly because the thickness is fantastic and it really makes your colours so vibrant. Like, these are vibrant colours. And my drawing transferred really nicely through the carbon paper, because I transferred the sketch onto here using carbon paper. But the biggest problem is this. You see this here? This extends onto the front of the paper, and I wasn't painting vigorously. I wasn't using an excessive amount of water. But there's a lot of paper bogeys. So yes, I'll use it again. I'll use what I've got, but I won't go out of my way to buy the paper again. But again, thank you so much to that wonderful shop. I wish I lived in Amsterdam, just so I could just go in there and try out all of their papers. But if you're in the area, honestly, just give it a try. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed watching my process in my mad little corner of the dining room, and I hope to see you again very soon.